I guess at this point in time and this late into the game, you really can't talk about the MCU without talking about the DCEU, and you can't talk about the DCEU without talking about the MCU. It just kind of gets brought up in conversation. Now, I've said what I need to say, I think, in plenty of videos about the DCEU or the DCU, whatever you want to call it. I like Justice League. I know, I'm in the minority. I like the movie. I'm aware it has problems, but I do enjoy it. Just like I'm aware Iron Man 2 has a ton of problems, but I enjoy that movie. It is what it is. I'm sorry. I'll live with the fact knowing that people don't like that I like Justice League, but that's cool, and I love Infinity War. I think it's one of the best comic book movies of all time. I mean, it certainly feels like a comic book come to life, even though it has some problems, but, you know, I've talked about that in other videos, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that more as the movie kind of sinks in and goes into this, like, period where people will go out and start talking about it in a negative light, because it's popular. That's what happens. And of course, what happens when you ask the directors of Infinity War in regards to maybe trying to do a DC movie and, you know, if they would be interested? And both of them were quick to say, not really. They have both always been bigger fans of Marvel, and of course, if you guys have been following what I've been talking about, what they've been saying, it's their favorite is like Wolverine. They always love that character, and they're hoping to be able to do that. So it kind of makes sense that they say that. And another thing that they had to point out was the fact that they don't find the Justice League relatable. The character that they find the most interesting is Batman, because he has a human side to him, and he's different than all the Justice League members. But the other ones, they feel like that there's just too much there to work with, and, you know, I can understand what they're saying, because that's how I've always perceived the DC Universe. You know, before, I would say 2011, and many of the people that watch this that are my friends know that I was a diehard DC fan. So I was all DC all the time. Like, that was my thing. But I started to kind of get tired of DC because I wasn't finding them relatable anymore. They were gods. There was no flaws and stuff. And, you know, when you grow up, you realize, oh man, life isn't easy. Everything kind of falls apart and everything, unless everything's handed to you. So I started to get pulled more into characters like Spider-Man again, because there was that relatable aspect of him not being able to juggle everything. And I think that's what many people, including them, feel that are pulled into the whole Marvel as their preferred brand. So that's fully understandable to me, and I think many people that are going to watch this are going to understand where they're coming from, and it fully makes sense. You know, if you want gods, you go to DC, because they're godlike characters. If you want flaws and characters that can't handle themselves in many situations, you go to Marvel, because they can't. They're human characters, more or less, than anything else.